Hello, and welcome to Comics in Quarantine, Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Erich McElroy. Welcome to the show. It is very nice to see you all again. It is nice to see you, Steve. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be seen. Do you like the looking even worse, isn't it?
Even worse. I know. I have a little stubble come this week. Welcome to the show where we, as comics in quarantine, solve problems. And so what you will see through the course of the show is we don't really solve any problems. It's just a name we came up 18 episodes ago to say we were doing something because we're stuck in quarantine with nothing else to do. But we do look at the day's news, the world's news, and if you do send us problems, which you can do via various social media platforms, we will try and solve them badly because we are comedians, and that's not really the type of people you should come to solve problems. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, I think in general, news is a problem, and news causes more problems. We try and solve that in anything that you send our direction, but at the moment, the news is absolutely flipping full of them. There are so many news stories recently that don't make any sense about the lockdown conditions. I was watching the thing earlier on. We're going to get some restrictions, like pubs might open, beer gardens might open by July or something like that, which actually means that schools won't be open when we have beer gardens open. It makes no sense. It's unbelievable. It's good that we can get to go out to pubs, but the schools concern me. And if you think, okay, the schools aren't going to be in, so you can go on holiday instead, you could go to New Zealand where they have 0 cases. And if you come back, you'd have to quarantine for 14 days. You're going from a nation with no COVID to a nation with more COVID, and you stay there for 14 days to keep us safe. That's like having to take your shoes off when you walk in a teenager's bedroom so you don't dirty it. Come on. It makes no sense. And I think we're starting. It's a great mental image early doors on the show.
No, it's not.
I think a lot of people are starting to get annoyed with these contradictions, getting annoyed with the level of lockdown. I went for a run earlier and I saw another one of those rainbow signs in a window. Here it is. I am not sure it was done by the child of the house. I think the mum of the house might be getting a bit annoyed at being locked down all the time.
Yep. Looking forward to getting out there, clearly.
Yeah. But when it comes to schools, it does mean we'll have schools closed but beer gardens opened. That means more kids in school, in beer gardens. I don't like that. Although I suppose with all the homeschooling that's going off, being in a beer garden might be the only time that these kids have learned any maths, watching people trying to keep up with the round system.
Yep.
It's a good piece of education, isn't it? If Tom has 7 pints and some peanuts, Jason has 5 pints and some crisps, who throws up first? In case, look away now if you don't want to know the answer. Of course it's Tom. Peanuts and more pints, the guy's going to pebble dash everything.
You've gone with 2 ripe images early on in the show.
Yeah. I mean, you've got kids. Are you happy or sad about the fact that schools might not be opening as early as you think?
Well, our kids weren't going to be going back because they're secondary school and not the key years until potentially September. But now that might not even happen, or it'll be something called some sort of blended learning, which I don't know what that means. No. But a blend of not learning when they're at home and when they're learning when they go to school. I mean, if we do have to keep them home all this time, I am glad the pubs will stay open because that's where I'll be while they're at home. I mean, at the same time, my kids are they're in like the worst years because they're in what we call junior high in America, early secondary school here. So this is like teen, preteen. I don't know about you, Steve, but these were not the glory years for me.
No, these were the years when if I could have stayed in all summer, I would have done. It seems like they're having a lucky time of it.
But I mean, just with social interactions at school, you're awkward, and that's just I was a nerd basically. I had no friends.
Really?
So
a nerd who then became a comedian. I'm not sure we should write that down. That's a new one on me.
It's a shock. It's a shock. I wasn't the rock and roll make everybody go. Well, I was getting beat up for trying to make people laugh. I remember one guy grabbing my glasses off my face because I wore glasses when I was 12 because that was that cool, and I made some smart aleck remark, and he turned around, came back, grabbed my glasses off my face, twisted them up into a ball, handed them back to me, and said, gave me his phone number and said that so that my mom could call his mom and to replace the glasses.
That's the nicest bully I've ever heard of.
I know. Yeah. See, it helps that, because it was America, I had a gun. But But other than that, yeah, it was very polite, very
Yeah.
polite. But there was no fight. I didn't do anything. I mean, I think I did call his mom a slag. But other than that,
She might have been. We don't know.
I don't know why he did that.
My theory is when it comes to the schools not having the kids in them and delaying, I would rather we don't send the kids back and actually we just write off a couple of years of just thick kids. In the future, there'll be a lot of people who don't know how to spell, no joined up handwriting. There's a lot of typing these days.
But yeah, definitely a generation is going to be there where they, I don't know, I think somebody's already called them the COVID kids, and they're just going to be like, oh, bless.
Yeah, and because you know what it's like. There'll be parents who are in charge of doing the homeschooling saying things like, "Oh, don't need any of that maths. I never use you don't need it when you grow up. I'm not going to teach it you now." And then later in the day, they'll have a conversation. Why ain't no one solved all these problems yet? Haven't we got a cure? Yep. Yeah. So no one's going to invent anything. Give it like 30 years from now. We're going to go back to the dark ages. But fair enough. No kids in school. I mean, there are bigger problems going on in the world at the moment.
Yes, there are tons and tons of problems. Some of them not just related to my son's homework. And speaking of problems, if anyone wants to send us any problems, if the social medias are open, you can tweet us and you can YouTube us, you can Facebook us. Are we still on LinkedIn, Steve?
Yeah, still on LinkedIn, still on Daily Motion. Don't know what it is. Sounds like a euphemism for poo, but it's a website. And Mark already says, it depends on the crisps. If it's barbecue beef, maybe. Pickled onion, guaranteed. Yeah, that's true. Who's going to throw up first? The person having the peanuts or the crisps? Prawn
wasn't
cocktail.
Sure what that was going back to. Prawn cocktail. 20 years in the UK. Still can't do prawn cocktail.
We should get you some to eat live on the show.
Ooh. But yes, as you said, there's plenty of problems in the world for us to solve. Of course, the biggest problem, obviously, has been what's beyond just the pandemic that we're currently living in, is still the sort of shockwaves from the George Floyd murder in the U.S., which this weekend it really hit us here in the U.K. with people coming out to support Black Lives Matter and to have people coming forward and protesting in the UK, supportive of African Americans and also of institutional racism here in the UK. Fun stuff. It kind of culminated, didn't it? I think the protest that we had this weekend in the UK, where everything built up, and we didn't see the widespread looting that we saw in the US, but we did see one big event where some protesters tore down the statue of the celebrated slave trader. I think that's the title that you use. Is that
might be the title you use? Yeah. I don't think we should.
A man named Edward Colston, and we've got the footage of it. I think here. So this was in Bristol. Apparently, Colston, after he was a slave trader for most of his life, then spent a lot of time trying to whitewash, if that's the right term, his career by giving a lot of money to Bristol. And protesters have been trying to get the statue removed peacefully for 40 years by different petitions and that kind of thing. And finally this weekend, they had enough.
Interesting.
And they took, into their own hands.
Chopped it down, put it in the river.
Yeah, and as luck would have it, you and I frequently go on a national radio station. I know it doesn't get broadcast to probably as many things as this show does.
That's true.
But where we get to be a co-friend of the presenter, and you can always tell. I think when you've been on the show enough times, so when you do the morning show, you see the news the day before, and you know what's going to be on the front pages the next day, and you know exactly what kind of position, because we're usually stuck on there to be the lefties. We're going on with the show's Julia Hartley Brewer. She's kind of considered semi-right wing. She usually takes that sort of Brexit-ish stand. And when I saw the statue come down, I'm like, that's going to be all over the papers. That's it. And, I'm not for any kind of violent protest. I don't think most people say they are. I think protests are good, but I knew this would be what we talked about. And she totally thought it was unreasonable, was wrong to do. But my thing on the statue, I don't know if you feel it was the right thing to take it down. A, nobody was hurt when it came down because police decided to just step back, let it happen. B, they weren't looting people's shops and hurting people's businesses. It was essentially no harm, and and it did create some awareness about Edward Colston. I'd never heard of him before. I think you could see the hole burned into his Wikipedia page, where people had gone to learn about the 80,000 people he helped transport as slaves to the U.S. and the 19,000 people that died. So, that was my perspective. That seems reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not endorsing violent protest.
I mean, in a sense, we'd almost agree, and that's going to be one of the flaws with this broadcast, that we're probably on the same side on this, so it's not going to become a heated debate. But my take was simply, it's wrong to damage stuff, but it shouldn't have been there to be damaged in the first place. It should have been taken down. So it's a bit like saying, I apologise for slightly catching your wing mirror, but you shouldn't have pulled your car up in the middle of the M1. Which is the bigger wrong?
Yeah. Well, some of Julia's listeners didn't agree with my reasonable approach to this. And we're both used to getting some Twitter hate, some Twitter love. But what I particularly enjoyed is one annoyed listener was so ticked off by what I was saying. He Googled me, and I don't have an easy name to Google because it's Eric with an H, McElroy without an A. And he found my
Liza
website.
Minnelli singing that song.
Thank you. EricMcElroy.com if you want to go check me out. I've got some clips on there. Found my contact me section and took the time to send me an email. Doesn't waste time with Twitter. None of that. Here's the email that he sent me. Subject line, leftist commie scum. Why Julia Hartley Brewer invites thick-sounding commies like you onto her show who defend these low-life rioters and attackers of police is beyond me. You white leftists are grade 1 low-life morons, and I hope if your house is ever getting burnt down and looted by the rioters, you will invite them in for a cup of tea and share stories about how you hate the police.
Wow.
Now, it built and built and built until he suggested that I just bring the rioters in and have a cup of tea. And what I love about these, because I've gotten emails like this before, and what I loved is the salutation. All that anger, all that motivation, and then it's still signed, Paul from London. It's not even like a just fuck off and die. It's just sincerely regards, Paul from London.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Lesson. But I know that I did it right on Monday, because not only did I have people on the right hating what I do, I was also getting a mild amount of not abuse, but a hard time given to me by people on the left who didn't think I called Julie out enough. So much like my marriage, I left everyone unsatisfied.
There's a difficult issue within it, isn't there? Like, is criminal damage ever okay? My theory is it shouldn't have been there to be damaged in the first place, but if it was, how do you rectify the two? And I think, look, I agree, no one was harmed in it, and it shouldn't have been left standing. They'd tried the peaceful ways of applying to get it removed. Bristol Council should have had it taken down. But I also understand that you can't just let people break the law and there be no consequences, because that way lies madness. So how's about this, the Steve compromise?
Okay.
We fine them for littering.
Nice.
Because, as we saw in the video, they tipped it in the river. They didn't take it home and put it in the appropriate recycling box. So if we did that, we'd be fined for it. That way, what's it, like an 80 quid fine for littering? They could crowdfund that. They wouldn't have to pay it. And actually, everyone's happy. Yet again, I have brought the two sides of this debate together. Don't know why they don't listen to me more.
I bet they would probably say, as a counter-argument to that, they didn't know what bin to put it in.
Yeah.
Because do you put it in the recycling? Do you put it in the paper? Do you put it in the racist?
It's it's a difficult one.
To be fair, that one's pretty full.
So you can keep your messages coming through. You can message on wherever you're watching this. Send us a message. Any questions about the news, any comments about the news, we'll get in this. And if you're enjoying the show in any way, you can buy us a coffee. The link's down the bottom. We need to practice this so that when my finger gets to there, you take over.
Yeah, we do. We have had some contributions already. So I'll say I can't say who it is yet, but thank you very much for those. And a cup of solidarity from Eleanor Moss. So thank you very much for that.
Tea.
Yeah.
Nice. Loving it. Speaking of tea, so whether you should be inviting people in and inviting the writers in for tea, you probably shouldn't, because you're probably American and you probably can't make tea. That's the latest news. We're talking tea. We talked about this back in show 10. They're all online. You can get the old episodes. Let's have a recap of what we talked about them.
And also the fact that you British people say that we don't know how to make a cup of tea in America. And I don't think that that's very fair. We tried to make an entire bay into a cup of tea once. Reference Boston Tea Party. Freedom!
I'll tell you what you did wrong at the Boston Tea Party. You didn't put the milk in first. Heathens.
That's what it was. But just to prove that we do know how to make a cup of tea, and through the miracle that is TikTok, we have a TikTok from America on how to make a good cup of tea.
Hey guys, so I get a lot of questions about hot tea. So today I wanted to show you what this American girl likes as hot tea. So I mix a lot of ingredients together. So first is 1 cup of Insta tea, 2 cups of Tang Country Time lemonade, 1 cup of sugar, another cup of sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cloves. Mix it all together. Put some water in a cup. Heat your water in the microwave. Add a few teaspoons to your hot water. Give it a little stir. And that's what I...
Oh, Struth. Who the heck made... So that was this lady who made tea like that. That's how apparently Americans make tea. So she got a lot of flack online about the tea. So she's done another one. You might have seen it. It's been trending all day. She's done another TikTok or whatever it's called. And here's the new recipe. No. Oh, the second abomination. How much the milk? How much sugar was poured in from a vat? What the hell is going on?
What I love is that she started by saying, I got a lot of questions. You mean you got a lot of hate from the UK? You got some debt. I mean, you probably got an email from Paul from London. I'm guessing.
She thinks they're all questions because in her head, every sentence goes up at the end. So she thinks it's you can't make tea? It's not a question, it's a statement. Oh, man alive.
But isn't that how you make a cup of tea? I don't understand what the problem is.
Well, I'm glad you asked. So that's been trending all day, and I'm worried that she's clearly some sort of TikTok celebrity. Loads of Americans are going to watch that and think, hey, that's how you make a tea. You pour in various powders and then wrap up. So I've made a video for you instead, because I'm British, and this is how you make hot tea. It's not called hot tea, it's British tea. Have a look. Hello, I'm British. You can tell by my bad teeth and sense of worthlessness because I was born into the lower classes. But I do know how to make tea the right way. So pay attention, Americans. Here's how you do it. Now, ideally, one should always use water that's been allowed to rest. In Britain, we use the toilet. We Brits don't use the microwave to heat the water. We use the grill. It's 2 hours later, and it's nice and warm. There really is only one way to make tea, and that's using loose tea. For that you'll need a tea bag and some scissors. Just slice across the top and add the delicious contents. Then stir with a fork, sterling silver. And there we have it. Your official British tea is ready. Bottoms up. So Americans, drink your tea like that, and you'll be doing it the British way. There you go. Let's hope that catches on.
That could, you know that very well could. There's a lot of Americans drinking bleach right now. So the bar is set very, very low for this, Steve.
That's why you should say you always take your water from the toilet, because any leftover bleach helps fight the COVID.
I have to say, I have been working on what I like to call my quarantine tea. Can I share that with you?
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah. So I've got my mug.
Do you want to go full screen for this?
Might as well. Sure, why not?
Full screen,
Let's just see. There we go. I got my mug. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
good.
Good step in the right direction.
And then I'm going to just add to that mug.
Russian
just a
tea.
Bit. There we go. That's called the quarantine homeschooling tea.
Nice. It's good for you.
Well, I finished that.
Thank you for some of your comments. Jeremy says, when you invite me in for a cup of tea, can I have a biscuit too? Not rich tea, please. I know, right? Why are they still making rich tea biscuits? What's the flipping point of them? Heather gives us a smiley face, and Mark says, pass the pickled onions. If you want to make yourself throw up because you've seen an American make a cup of tea, pickled onion Monster Munch. That would be the way to... So you do it.
Yeah. I've got Eleanor here has said the video proving the point that anyone who calls it hot tea can't be trusted.
Yes. Darn it.
Yeah, but we have iced tea in America. That's why. That's why she's clarifying the point.
But it's okay. So if you've got iced tea, you don't need to say that the other tea's hot. The iced of iced tea implies it's no longer hot.
But you don't always say. Yeah, but see, in America, you'd say, "Do you want a cup of tea?" And most people think that would mean the cold tea.
Well,
so you do need to add the hot tea.
They're fools. They should defer to our greater wisdom because, as we all know, tea is British. With the fact that it's either from India or China. But people always make that point. Oh, yeah, Brits like their tea, but it's from India or China. For now, but the way global warming's going, any day.
Any day. Which is actually a good point. That if you'd like to buy us a coffee, see what I've done there.
Or a tea.
Yeah, why did they call it tea?
Yeah,
Americans. For the British people. Anyway, you can contribute to the show if you enjoy what we're doing because we are completely and utterly self-employed.
Yeah.
So that's helpful. And do keep sending us your comments as we go through. And I mean, there's no easy segue back into this, talking about things that get. But I mean, well, we've talked about tea now a couple of times during the show, and that's one of the most animated and heated discussions that we have. And things are animated and heated these days. And obviously, if we go back to the protests in America, the thing that's now happening as a result of the protests is people are starting to say, what action are they going to take? And it's pretty heated, as it were. One of the things that is being suggested is to defund the police. Now, this is, of course, being used by the right and Donald Trump and so like, well, they want to take away all your money and they want to just let you just get, robbed and take away. They want to come in and I don't know why I'm coughing, but
it's because all your tea that's made of vodka has already got to
hold
you.
on, just let me just.
I feel like I'm missing.
That's better. They want to come. I mean, they're going to when they say they're going to defund the police, they're going to come in and they're going to take your children's toy cars away. The toy police. Anyway, that's not what they mean. What they mean, and the reason why there's a movement to defund the police, is because it's not just about police aggression just to African Americans. The militarization of the U.S. police is astounding, and this has risen under Donald Trump because Obama tried to wind down a program where the Pentagon and the Army would sell leftover military kit to the police. This is real. We've got pictures of this. We've got a couple of these things. This is a police car in America. Wow. It doesn't, it's not even painted black like the Batmobile. We've got another one here. This is a local county sheriff. Because I shot the sheriff because the deputy was driving the big fucking tank. I can't sing. We got another one after this.
Before we move on, can we just look at dial 911? For
Can you
all
imagine?
Your police needs.
Yeah, don't prank call 911 in Jefferson County. Jesus Christ. Here's I think it's the same. This is the Doraville Police Department. I have no idea where that is. It's got rescue vehicle written on the front of that. Yeah, we'll get your cat out of that tree. I mean,
you'll never see that cat again.
Just drive over the tree. And I mean, it just gets silly. I mean, I think we've got one more clip. It just goes to ridiculous levels now. It's getting insane. It's getting insane. Now, I do want to try and be balanced with this because I do try and be that person who finds the middle path. And, I want to, sympathize a little bit with Paul from London because I'm not just leftist commie scum. I'm, rightist commie scum as well. Because there are times where police do need to use all the available technology that we have because some incidents do get a little bit sticky. And we do have an example of that.
Those were the days. That was entertainment back then.
There's a really good documentary if you haven't seen it. Where the police used to be. Good times.
Some messages coming through. The bishop says he thought that the COVID kids were the ones conceived during this time of hardship. That's a great way of phrasing it as well.
Yeah.
So the COVID kids are either the ones who don't do long division because they were out of school or conceived during it. Although everyone thought there would be a baby boom off the back of it, but the only stats we've seen is there's been an increase in divorce rate. So interesting. He also says that the tea making bird, is definitely on crack. Good point.
We've got, I don't know how to say, Jita here. It said, when I asked for tea in the USA, they would offer me cream in it.
Cream in your tea? Oh, that sounds like a euphemism as well. Disgraceful.
Oh, dear.
Are they thinking that's what a cream tea is, by the way? It's just dawned on me. Is that what they think a cream tea is?
Well, maybe. Because we have something called half and half in America. I don't know if you've ever encountered that. That's half milk and half cream. And that's what a lot of people put in their coffee instead of milk.
Right. What's wrong with what's wrong with how you drink your tea?
It's basically any attempt to make anything not natural happen. That's why we have cheese that comes out of a can. And have you ever seen Cheese Whiz?
No.
Next time I go to America, it's basically an aerosol can, like whipped cream, but it's got cheese in there, and it's yellow, and it comes out. Explaining that to a French person is one of the funniest things I've ever done in my life. Just because you take the cracker and then eat it in there. It's liquid cheese.
Well, it looks like now we know where they went wrong. Right. Any comments you have about how to make tea properly and the tea making lady? If you'd like to improve on my recipe, do it in the messages. Also, if you'd like to chuck us a coffee, contribute towards the unemployment of two comedians, the web address is down the bottom. And there's bad news as well, I'm afraid. Bad news for men like me, the bald men, front page of the Daily Star. Corona shocker. Because every front page has to have the word shocker on it. Uh-oh, baldies are hit hardest by virus. This is upsetting news. I mean, it depends which way the newspapers tend to go. Obviously, the Daily Star, it's a tabloid. They use the word baldies, which is actually quite offensive to us, but probably better than the Daily Mail obviously tried to group us in with another group who are more at risk of the virus, where the the BBAMEs, the bald, black and Asian minority ethnic, and we do need to ask some questions about why we bald people are more at risk from coronavirus. We should do the same questions we asked when the research came out about the high risk from the BAME community. So are there more doctors who are bald? I mean, as an example, of course, there's famously that one. On one side of the argument, he's fictional, but on the other side of the argument, he didn't spend 7 years in medical college to be called Mr. Evil. So we know he's the proper kind of doctor. Is it to do with poverty? Are bald people more in need financially than people with hair? I think that was the main take-home message from the I, Daniel Blake film. That was my main take-home message. Bald people, we're suffering. And this is what you don't realise. This is our life all the time. Knowing that we are higher risk, there are always thoughts in our head, like when I was leaving the house earlier. This is what happened. Silent comedy. It's not even acting in that one. Silent comedy.
Like Mr. Bean. Yeah. I don't have much to add to that story. Just.
Thank you. Any fellow bald people? Heather says more testosterone. Yes, that is a lie that I always cling to as well. Bald men just have more testosterone, and that's why we are more at risk of the COVIDs. I guess you're right in the COVIDs.
Sorry, I was too busy patting my hair.
Patting your grey hair.
Grey. Let's talk about the beard there, Stephen.
Oh, it's this way, right? This way. Look, if I'm thinking, you can't tell that I've got a grey beard.
That's all right. What I make up for here, I have the obesity factor. Tick. Yeah. So I've got that risk factor covered.
We are quickly running out of time. Keep your messages coming through if you'd like to contribute down the bottom. It's already 5:30. It's truth. We have waffled through this one.
Well, this was one that just came up today, so I thought we'd just quickly add in there. Since we were talking about tea, and since we were talking about racists, put those things together.
Wow.
And what have you got? This headline in the BBC today, PG and Yorkshire Tea tell Black Lives Matter critics, don't buy our tea. Well done.
Interesting.
PG Tips and Yorkshire tea. How do you feel about it? Is that your tea of choice? Are you a PG Tips man?
As you know, I always have loose tea collected from the toilet.
Yes, when you're not having that.
But I go for supermarket own brand.
Oh, you tight ass.
That's proper northern. None of this, Yorkshire, have Yorkshire tea. At that price, you're joking.
Yeah. But I mean, it did make me think. So basically, they told off the racists. They said, "Look, we don't want," because someone had tweeted to the Yorkshire Tea, "Oh, we're so glad that Yorkshire Tea hasn't taken a position on Black Lives Matter." I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was thinking, really, where am I going to get my guidance on how to feel about this issue of systemic racism and institutional white privilege? Oh, what does my tea company have to say? And send a tweet to them. But they responded and they said, no, if you're racist, don't buy our tea, basically. And it made me think, I want to be as fair as I can. Racist people need to have tea too, I suppose. And luckily there is a brand for them, which we found right there. There it is. Just dip your bag in there. Little tea bagging for you.
Is that green tea?
It's organic.
That seems like an overlap of a Venn diagram that's not going to sell well.
That's not going to sell well. No, it's not. So,
I mean, if you
there you go.
want
You are
racist, if you want racist tea, I can't help thinking that they wouldn't show those PG Tips adverts again.
No.
Let's have a look. Sam, Johnny Vegas would be out of work, wouldn't he? Sam says there's an ISO, so that's an international standard something, is it? I can't remember now. The Royal Society of Chemistry has published a guide a few years ago, the official way of making tea. Thank you for your email.
Ooh,
we should send that to that lady on the internet.
Let's do that as a TikTok. That'll do well.
Have you got any more messages coming through there? Got some more on Twitter.
I've got, again, apparently there's research to confirm that tea tastes better in a red ceramic cup.
Okay.
Not as good as in a British cup.
It's got red bits in it. I'll dip my red one into the toilet next time, which is a sentence I have used before. The bishop says, hands up any Americans who thinks that Americans are strange about tea. He is right there, we can tell. Stephen Leatherdale says, just in case you were confused by Eric's Star Wars clip, at Mr. Stephen Allen, the weapon was the equivalent of every photon torpedo fired in every episode of Star Trek. Now it makes sense. Good.
Do you know which Death Star I went with on that clip?
One of the main ones.
Oh God. Yeah.
One of the Death Stars.
That was from The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh right, so that's original films. Was there?
That's the second film. I couldn't. The clip I tried to get for the original film wasn't copyable. I couldn't steal it from YouTube. So,
but wasn't. So right, I've seen the films, but didn't really care for Star Wars. But wasn't that just rebuilding what had happened when they blew up the first one, or did they build an entire?
It was a new Death Star. They build a new Death Star every time.
Every time.
It's not.
Never learn.
Like every episode of Star Trek wasn't the same. They're just out there in space, wandering around. And I like Star Trek, but it's the same every time.
Yeah. Well, no, you say they're always out there. If we're talking Next Generation and Voyager, every so often there'd be an episode where they were trapped on the holodeck, and it would be a period episode, and skip.
Yeah.
Every time. Oh, Jean-Luc Picard's playing flute. Not watching that one again.
Yeah, it was a sci-fi. It wasn't a freaking... Yeah, anyway. Yeah. Well, I think we have reached the end of the show once again.
A couple of comments to chuck in as well. Mark says the Ku Klux Klan tea comes already white. That is the joke we should have had in the show. Excellent work.
Should have actually written a joke for that. But I spent too much time making the image and Googling Ku Klux Klan to the point where I'm now going to get visited by the police. Eleanor said, the first time in America I asked for a black tea and white coffee, got quite a look from the barista.
Yeah, I mean, what with all the race tension at the moment, you couldn't do that either.
Yeah, we don't do, what is it? We don't do flat whites in America.
Really?
No.
It's an Australian thing.
Is it? No. Yeah, we fat whites, not flat. Anyway, right. We're on again on Thursday night at 9:00. Are you anywhere else this week, Steve?
Between now and then, no. I've got a gig on Friday night, but it's one of those midnight ones, so it'll be ticking over into Saturday morning. And well, I'll tell you, it is off air because I don't know if it's not going to. I mean, I'll be tweeting about it, so there'll be a link to it.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a good gig last time. It's kind of late night craziness. Might be drunk for it. But other than that, I got nothing going on. I got some books that still aren't being shifted. Some newspaper columns to write. That's about it, really, from me.
Yeah, no, I'll be here on Thursday, and then on Sunday, as always, part of Crack Comedy Live, which has got Jarlath Regan, Ola, and Juliet Myers. So that'll be a good show. If you want to check that out, check out crackcomedy.com. It's live stand-up comedy streamed to wherever you are.
All right, and we will see you Thursday from 9 o'clock right back here. Till then.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for those who gave us a coffee as well. We appreciate your support. See you next time. Bye.